Good evening and welcome to our Education Committee meeting of the Board of School Directors. Thank you for your attendance this evening. And without any ado, we will turn the meeting over to Ms. Brown.
Good evening. Thank you for joining. Our first item up will be Dr. B. Coates and Kara Silas. Dr. B. Coates.
Good evening, everyone. This evening, we'd like to share some information regarding Care Solis. And joining me this evening for this is Janine Fear, who is the Vice President of Higher Ed and K-12 Partnerships. I believe she is, yes, there she is. Good evening. Hi, Janine. It's glad that you're here. I had the opportunity to spend some time with this organization at an educational conference, and also had the opportunity to spend some time learning more about the product from some colleagues in Pennsylvania, as well as colleagues in other cities and throughout the country. And so this product, if you will, or the service that's provided, is really about trying to assist families, students, and staff members, if you will, with mental health concerns and needs. Most of us know that the number of mental health, or the need for mental health support, is definitely prevalent, and it has increased over time. And so there are some documents I'm just going to be sharing and highlighting with each of us, but the real purpose of this proposal is to have a way for staff members, students, as well as family members of our staff members, as well as of our students, to have a place where you can kind of call to get support within the mental health system, if you will. One of the things that I liked about this program that was available for our constituents, if you will, is that it is free of charge to them. You do not have to have insurance to benefit you, and this is, or can serve as, if you will, a bridge between the school district and the people that we support. So this is just some general information about Care Solis. Some of the things that Care Solis would be providing support around is anxiety, depression, trauma, suicide, eating disorders. There's also some marital group therapy that can be provided as well. And so as I talked to different individuals in different locations, everyone talked about the benefit of this support and how it really helped a lot of the people within their community. So that's just a general overview. One of the things that I liked about the product was that it is about staff wellness. And I think a lot of our staff have explained or have communicated that they would like a service like this. I recently had conversations with some union representatives who said that some of their members felt as though that this would be something that would definitely benefit them. And so again, this is some additional information. It talks about improving staff retention. It's no cost to staff, and it is confidential. And so the other thing that I really liked about the product was that the company is able to actually share with us. It's not names or information such as that, but we would be able to get a report, if you will, that gave you information on, if you will, some key performance indicators. And so this is a sample report that talks about interactions that they've had, any type of warm handoffs that they've provided, and things of that nature. The other thing that I think that this does is it does give you some information on demographics, gender, age, ethnicity, and then it also talks about our community that we are supporting, and it highlights information around providers and resources, and then it also would provide you with information on the area of support that the team at Care Solis would be helping with, if you will. And so I wanted to bring this tonight to the Education Committee to address any questions that board members may have or others before we begin to roll out with this. Our thinking is that this would hopefully begin on April the 1st. We would be able to utilize some of our remaining ESSER dollars to pay for this for the remainder of this year. It would be about $5,000. And we could definitely look at the benefits of it just purely based upon how many people are utilizing the service through the reporting system that CareSolus provides. So I'm going to pause there. Janine, thank you so much for being here tonight. And we are available to answer any questions that board members or others may have.
Thank you, Dr. B. Coates. At this time, the floor is open. If you have questions.
Are you talking, Ms. Hoff? Oh. I can't hear you. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. I see you saying I like the program. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Ms. Cook Henry, I don't see any hands that are raised in attendees.
Thank you.
Janine,
Sounds
would you
good.
oh, I'm sorry, Janine, would you like to share anything?
Actually, I think you covered it fairly well. We serve a lot of districts in the state already, so we'd love to, of course, partner. Let's see if there's a question in the chat. I'll jump in there too, see if I can help answer that. In the QA.
Oh, I like the program. There is a question in the chat. Sorry, Q&A. Okay. How can families participate? That's the question.
I can answer that. So there are a couple of different ways that families can interact with our service. We provide a couple of different pathways essentially for the school district and for the families. One is a confidential anonymous pathway that if families aren't necessarily comfortable coming and talking to their counselors or folks at the district, they can reach out directly to us via text, video chat, phone, and we can just start the process with them to help with their navigating the mental health care system. If families are already working with, say, a school counselor or some as other district staff, the district staff members have the ability to actually refer those families to us so that, again, we can help navigate that system and help get them connected to a local community provider. So it's kind of twofold with regards to supporting school staff and the mental health care teams when they're trying to help their families. And then, of course, families who just want to do this anonymously and confidentially can reach out directly and we can just help them with the process from there.
Thank you, Janine. So board members, I will, the thinking is that we would have this item in our, for our agenda at the board meeting later this month as an item for approval, because obviously there's a cost associated with it, but I did want to bring this before the board and not you see it for the first time at the actual business meeting.
Thank you again. Seeing that there are no additional questions, we will move to the next agenda item.
Thanks,
Ms. Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Janine. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ms. Cook Henry. Our next agenda item is the Delaware County Community Partnership, and a representative from Penwood High School will speak to that item.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Chicano. I'm the principal at Pembroke High School Green Avenue campus. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of meeting with board members, Mr. Wright and Ms. Cook-Henry, to share about all the wonderful things we are doing with our partnership with Delaware County Community College and dual enrollment program. So we wanted to, I requested my team put together all this information that we have done so far and plan to do moving forward as a support for our students. So we have two partnerships, the teacher ed and nursing programs, and we have dual enrollment for gifted students. This timeline here kind of goes through the progression of grade levels, supports for students, and how we get the word out to identify students who might be interested in this program. So we begin in October identifying students who might potentially meet the requirements for dual enrollment. Our counselor does a lot of this work in reaching out to the students as the months go on, that using a variety of communication avenues such as Parent Square, email, communications over our loudspeaker and advisories. Then we have the DC, Delaware County Community College representative come to support, and we begin to have students who are interested filling out applications. If you could go back one slide, there's a couple more items on there. Right, so then we had a parent night in February where we brought parents in to communicate this as this wonderful opportunity for kids and why it's a huge financial saver for students if they're able to join this program. And then as students progress and they get accepted after they take their AccuPlacer, we communicate that and then support students in identifying what courses might be of interest for them so that they can begin in July for the start of summer 2 at Delaware County. You can go to the next slide, please. So for our evening course, we have a minimum GPA based off of data to see which kids typically are meeting the AccuPlacer scores, and that begins in 10th grade. And so they're submitted around December, and then those students have a choice of taking an even class either in the 11th or 12th grade. This graphic on the right here is our data that the head count of data for students that have met the AccuPlacer since fall 2019. You can go to the next slide. So at our parent information night, we had this just last week or the week before. We brought parents in, communicated what the program entailed, how this was a great opportunity for students. We had a really nice turnout. Parents were very pleased. And we think that this particular event is going to help us increase our numbers for next year. And then you can go to the next slide. So for the teacher education and nursing program, here are the numbers that we have for our students who are interested. We have a very large group that are interested in nursing. We're trying to increase our students to want to become teachers so we can bring them back to William Penn School District. But here's like the information on all the dates of how we're supporting students in applying, taking the AccuPlacer test, passing, and then increasing the interest in taking a course. As you can see over there on the right, that we have help sessions for students. We're encouraging them to go to Help With Club. And then Ms. Felder, our 10th grade counselor, is reaching out to the students on a one-by-one basis. Any questions?
I don't see any questions, but I will make a comment. Thank you. There's been questions as to the participation or lack thereof of our students and how we can better support. And having had the opportunity of meeting with you and Miss Libby Brown, it was very helpful. And I appreciate your participation in sharing what it is that you all are doing to support our scholars and accessing this resource. I do see a hand with Ms. Hoff.
Hi, what is this Help With Club? Is that something new for the district this year? Or is that just what the acronym is supposed to, the HW stands for now?
Great question. Yeah, that is the name of the club at Green Avenue campus. Monday through Thursday, students can come after school to get help with it's just a play on homework club. They call it a Help With Club because it doesn't have to be homework. But that's available for students Monday through Thursday after school.
Thanks. No, it's not at your school only. That's why I asked. I like this HW. Is it some new
Oh, okay.
acronym that they come up with? Because it's at all the schools now. I'm like, what the heck is HW Help With? But I got you. Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Hoff, did you have your hand raised? Okay. Seeing that since there are no additional questions or concerns, I will turn it back over to Ms. Brown.
Okay, thank you. I believe Ms. Hoff is going to log back on. Because her sound isn't working. That was the message in the chat.
Okay.
Next on our agenda, we will have our middle or our 7 to 12 grade band go over their bell schedules and their course selection process that occurred during this school year, but in preparation for school year 24-25. So next you will hear Ms. Cox, principal of middle school, followed by Ms. Cox. We'll hear from Mr. Curry, followed by Mr. Chicano, principal of the high school, in that order. But Ms. Cook-Henry, we can take questions in between each school if it's easiest to do it that way.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll do each school. Penwood Middle
Yes.
School will go first.
Mhm.
At the end of Ms. Cox's presentation, we'll then pause for questions and I'll unshare the screen. Does that make sense, everyone?
Sounds good.
Mr. Dunn was in partnership where he began to lead this effort for bell schedule purposes. Course selection is really governed by the school in accordance to our Focus Forward 2025 strategic plan. Mr. Dunn, would you like to give information or insight before I give it to Ms. Cox?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. I think the idea is to make sure that we are providing opportunities for students to have enough space to have an option of course selection in their schedules, as well as increasing the amount of instructional time, and you'll see that reflected in the presentations.
Thank you. So Ms. Cox, as soon as I finish sharing the screen, you'll be up next.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. I'm glad my sound's coming through. So good evening. I just want to just briefly go over the course selection process for our Penwood Middle School. Similar to what Mr. Chicano shared earlier, this process is led by our school leaders. Our counselors play a great deal in making sure that the course selection process runs smoothly and is streamlined to support the secondary process. As you all know, Penwood Middle School is a feeder for the 6 elementary buildings. So our process requires us to coordinate with the counselors from all of those buildings. So we start this process very early. As you can see from February, we started with visits to classrooms. The counselor spoke to students across the campuses of all of the 6 Penwood Middle School elementary buildings. I myself as principal also took part in those visits to classrooms. We were very excited to visit those schools and speak to scholars and talk to them about the great programming and offerings that they'll anticipate when they arrive to Penwood Middle School campus. On the 11th through the 22nd, the counselors again collaborate with the teachers, the sixth grade teachers, collaborate with the seventh grade counselors to discuss course selection for the scholars upcoming into seventh grade to Penwood Middle School. So that process is currently happening this week and through next week. The following week, as you can see, the teachers make recommendations and student select courses are made. And that would be for scholars moving forward into the ninth grade academy for Principal Curry's building. And then, as you can see, so on and so forth, the 15th through the 13th, the guidance review the course recommendations and selections in eSchool. So you'll see, you'll notice that that process is available. Once those selections are made, everything is updated in eSchool for the receiving school to see what those recommendations are. And then there's further conversations amongst the counselors and school leaders. Of course, parents are always going to be looped into this process. We actually posted, Mr. Curry and I were in correspondence, and we posted, pardon my voice, guys, I'm sorry, I'm probably getting a cold. We collaborated and we posted our curriculum information and our course selection process on Parent Square for parents to get an early calendar invite so they can learn about this process in May. On the 7th, the parents will be notified of course selections, and there'll be notifications sent home via mail as well as email. Curriculum night, again, I mentioned a little bit that information was posted for Penwood Middle and for the ninth grade academy, so that the parents know there's a curriculum night that they'll be invited to for the incoming scholars that are coming to us to seventh grade. We'll be there, myself, principal, my admin team, to discuss what parents will expect to see, the offerings for our curriculum and programming for ELA, math, and other sciences and discipline that we offer at Penwood Middle School. The same will go for ninth grade academy. Principal Curry, parents, the parents who are leaving our school for eighth grade, they will be invited to the curriculum night for Principal Curry's building. And those events are happening in the evening for both of our schools. And then there's a parent feedback process, and opportunities for parents to share recommendations and selections that they may have for their children. And last but not least, the sixth grade students will visit Penwood Middle School in May. We wanted to make sure that that date did not hit our PSSA window. So that's happening at the end of our testing so that we would not have any interruptions during our testing process. And is this the next slide, Tara? All right. And so here's more of what we discussed. I kind of went through this a little bit earlier in the other slide. From 8th to 9th grade, our scholars who are leaving us and going to the 9th grade academy, the teachers will make recommendations and students will collect courses directly in alignment with eSchool and what's already set up in the course selection process. The courses are range from the specials that the kids can take, according to what Mr. Curry will share with you, that are offered at the 9th grade academy. I know in our building, we have arts, we have the art program, we have our band program, we have core music program, we have all of our specials that are offered in our building, our physical education, et cetera, et cetera. On the 20th, this already happened, the counselors met with the 9th grade principal, and the 8th grade students visited as well to our building. Well, they want to be visiting. They haven't visited yet. They met with the principal, and the 8th grade students were there at Principal Curry building on the 20th. All elective and major courses and course recommendations will be completed by, were completed by March 1st. So Principal Curry should have that data in his hands. The 1st through the 22nd, the guidance counselors will review course recommendations and selections in eSchool. And we will have the parent curriculum night for 9th grade academy is happening on May 2nd, as the middle schools is happening on the 8th. Again, we wanted to make sure that we had enough time to support everything that happened prior to curriculum night. And last but not least, the 8th grade scholars will visit the 9th grade academy the week of the 29th. So that process will be led and spearheaded by the counselors as well as Pembroke Middle School leaders in our building. This is the flyer. This flyer was posted on Parent Square. I believe I posted it Monday of this week, so parents can have the information early on, and they can mark their calendars. Any questions about the flyer? We do questions at the end, or any questions about information regarding curriculum night for Penwood Middle?
We could do the questions at the end of your schedule presentation.
Got
I know it's 2 questions in the Q&A, but I believe that you could better answer those at the end of your presentation.
Yes. All right. So as you can see, this is an opportunity for students and families to come together to learn about what's happening with the curriculum for each grade, for 7th and 8th grade, get a chance to meet the staff and meet the leaders and learn more about the course selection process in person, and meet teachers especially as well, and discuss expectations for our curriculum and for our courses. And hopefully get parents to get to know some of the great extracurricular activities that are also happening at Penwood Middle School. And parents may have already had a chance to see that we have a wonderful theater program. We have art club, student council, we have National Junior Honor Society. And again, we also want to use this time to leverage partnerships with our families. So my goal would be to make sure that we can connect with many families as possible, to also solicit early on their participation with our HAC, our parent community, our home and school, and any volunteer opportunities for the 2024-25 school year. So we want to network as much as possible and get as much parent input and participation for curriculum night as an early launch to partnering with our parents for our upcoming, for our rising scholars that are coming to us to 7th grade. And this is our bell schedule for Penwood Middle School. Currently, this is where we are now. Right now, as you can see from this schedule, and again, pardon my voice, our advisory right now is our secret time for SEL, which is very important, especially coming out of the different situations that we've had to manage. A lot of our kids are facing trauma and dealing with different high-level social-emotional needs, as Dr. B. Coates spoke about earlier during our time on this meeting. Our instructional block that's set up here is aligned directly with our guiding plans and necessary components and minutes within our curriculum for 7th and 8th grade. AB rotations and opportunities to receive targeted direct instruction and pathway for accelerated program. We have advanced classes for math and ELA for this year, and we're going to continue with that for next year. We wanted to, and we want to continue to limit as much transitions as possible to support bell-to-bell instruction. So you can see the minutes that are added up on here. You can see there's a 3-minute transition between that time. We are looking to make some revisions to our bell schedule. Currently, we have 5 houses for our building, and we're looking to have 6 houses for the 24-25 school year, which will be very helpful in reducing our class sizes, particularly for our 8th grade house. So that's something that we're looking to change, and you'll get more information about that later. All right, questions now. It looks like I have a hand from Miss Valerie Cook Henry. Good evening, Miss Henry.
If my hand is raised, that is not an accident, but thank you. There's a hand raised, as I understand, from Ms. Miller, and then there are some questions in the Q&A. And the first one is, as we prepare to receive Ms. Miller, the first question is, will Dr. Slaughter reach out to the gifted students? This person was involved in course selection it's Miss Faber, 3 years ago, but haven't heard anything yet for my current sixth grader as far as advanced classes.
Yes, and that, you said that question came from who? I want to capture that.
Miss Marie Louise Faber.
Okay, I just pulled it up from the chat. Yes, Dr. Slaughter will, if she has not already. She's been really good all year with communication regarding the gifted programming and course selection. So I will follow up with her. I'm going to actually capture your question to make sure you receive a follow-up regarding course selection for your sixth grader and advanced classes. So I'm hearing your sixth grader is coming to our building for seventh grade, correct? I copy that question for you, and I'm going to make sure that we have Dr. Slaughter follow up with you to make sure you get the collaboration from her regarding the gifted program. Ms. Faber, that answer was for you.
And then the next one is from Miss Mashinda. And the question is, do all scholars have to visit the ninth grade academy? And I believe that's referencing the trip that was in your handout, where the eighth graders visiting the ninth grade academy.
Yeah, so my posting from Parent Square, I believe it was from Tuesday, Mr. Curry and I collaborated on making sure we posted the curriculum flyers early on. The goal is for the eighth graders to visit the ninth grade academy to get a chance to see what's happening in their curriculum program on May the 2nd. Did that answer your question, Ms. Mashinda? It's just the eighth graders that'll be going to ninth grade academy on May the 2nd.
And then the last one is a question from Ms. Mashinda about the need for left-handed desk in the building.
I'm not sure if we have left-handed desks currently, but I can copy that question and find out if that's something that we could provide. And I can connect with our operations team to see what furniture options are offered for left-handed scholars. So I'll copy that question as well and see if I can follow up in writing with an answer for Ms. Mashinda and also Ms. Faber for your question about gifted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did I
Thank
miss
you.
any other questions? Or I don't see any hands raised.
We still have Miss Miller. We need to allow her in.
Yes, I think, am I unmuted?
No, we hear you.
Oh, thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. I love the way the plan is laid out. I do have a rising seventh grader. So I love the way this whole plan is laid out so very clearly. Thank you for that. Two questions. My first question is, I know that the rising seventh graders are scheduled to visit in May. Is there an opportunity for parents? I know several parents have asked me, only because I've been here a while, about the middle school, and there's a lot of curiosity about the middle school for parents who have not had children in the middle school yet. I've had two come through, but then this will be my third. But is there an opportunity for parents to visit with the students during those visitation dates that are allotted at the end of May? That's my first question.
Yes, absolutely. Those visits that are happening on curriculum night, those are happening in the evening. So I believe the time is 6 o'clock for my building as well as Principal Curry's building. So that the goal is to partner with parents. So not only the scholars get to know what's happening in our buildings, but for parents to also know what's happening in our buildings. So that is absolutely for parents and scholars. I believe both flyers indicate that. If not, we will make sure that they indicate parents and scholars.
I think I was meaning the days when the students from the elementary school when they come to visit the middle school, like during the day. Am I understanding that correctly? That they
Yes.
are okay.
So during the day, when the scholars come to our building, that is only for the children. That day is not for the parents.
Okay.
The curriculum night is, but during the day, when the kids come to our building to visit, we have a whole blocked out schedule. It's the entire day. Because remember, we're feeding six different buildings, 6 different elementary buildings feed to our school. So we could only allot a certain amount of time within each elementary. So that week is only designated for the children, not necessarily the parents.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And then the last question is, will parents, because I know typically, or in the past, it's been that the sixth grade teachers use PSSA data, classroom data to select the courses for the rising seventh grade students. It sounds like parents will also have an opportunity to have some say and some input in that course selection. Am I understanding that correctly? Will parents be able to have some input and some say in what courses their child is selecting, or what level, like if they want advanced, accelerated, however that looks there, will parents be able to have some input?
I would say that you absolutely can have the input currently right now as that process has been taking place. We always encourage our parents. We just had conferences, case in point, to the teachers to have collaborative conversations with parents around that process so that they can talk with their children at home and have those conversations to see, Nair or Jonathan, child, talk to that child to find out what might be a course option that they may be considering. And always the teachers and leaders look at, with our course selection process, we let the kids decide, but I always would, as a parent myself, encourage you to have a conversation with your child at home to find out what their interests might be, and what courses they might want to take. It's a little bit different for ninth grade and high school, but for our building, I'm sure Mr. Curry will speak a little bit more, and Mr. Chicano, around the course selection for ninth grade and high school. It's a little bit different for our building, where it's more based on the specials that we offer. There may be a little bit more of an array of course offerings for high school, for ninth grade, and for Chicano. But our counselors lead that process with the kids in eSchool, and based on what we can offer in eSchool accordance to our schedule. But as far as the courses that your kid might want to take, again, I would definitely encourage you to talk to your child at home and see what their interests might be, and reach out to us if anything needs to change, or if anything that is driving their passion we might need to look into.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There's one final question. It appears to be more of a comment. If there are some technical difficulties that I'm not aware of, but Ms. Mashinda said that she was kicked out of the session and the screens appear to be frozen.
And
That's just for our technical team.
Ms. Powell, Ms. Mashinda has her hands raised in the chat.
Ms. Mashinda, I can answer your question if you have a question for me.
Okay, the question was, at the end of the month in May, not for curriculum night, at the end of the month in May, when the kids go to the ninth grade academy, do all the kids have to attend the trip?
What trip are you referring to?
When the kids have to leave the 8th grade to go visit ninth grade academy, do all kids have to go? Is it mandatory?
Our expectation would be that all of our scholars are in attendance so they can receive the message from Principal Curry and be aware of the happenings and curriculum and expectations for their arrival when they are ninth graders. So that will be my expectation as principal and the teachers, that all of our scholars are in attendance.
Or well, I need to know the day that Barack Obama may go, because there's a possibility that I'm taking my son out the district. That's why I'm asking, is it mandatory that they go?
Ms. Mashinda, if you want to connect offline, and we can definitely collaborate on your question and concern regarding specifically your concern, if you don't
No
mind.
problem.
Thank
But we
you.
also don't have no left-handed desks in your building. That's why I made that. And we do have you have a plethora of left-handed students. There's not one in the building that I've seen. So I'm just letting you know.
Thank you for that. I made a note of it in my notes that I typed, and I will follow up with our operations leader to see if we can offer a left-handed desk.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
You're welcome. Is there any more questions regarding Penwood Middle School course selection process or otherwise?
I think we're good and ready to move on. Thank you for your information sharing this evening. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Curry, you're up next.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So just wanted to now, Ms. Cox sort of went over some of the sort of timeline for scheduling. I have the privilege of working with the middle school and also the high school as well. So we have sort of two processes that we have to complete. And I'm really happy that we're doing it earlier this year, earlier than in the past. But essentially, you know, we started off in early February, trying to create the schedule for the students that are coming up to my building. My counselor and also my assistant principal visited the middle school and had conversations with the students about the scheduling process, the classes that we offered, and also just have an opportunity to introduce themselves to them. Also, the week of the 4th, students had the opportunity to go on and select the courses that they wanted to take for next year. At the 9th grade academy, we don't have we don't have any, you know, flexibility in terms of the core content for English. You know, we have a literature course. For math, we have algebra 1. For science, we have environmental science, and for social studies, we have law and government. But we do have elective courses that students were able to select. They were given a course catalog. We have courses like criminal justice, psychology, Spanish, French, business tech that they had an opportunity to pick from, psychology as well. I think I mentioned psychology. And this past week, the week of the 15th, our students that are currently in 9th grade had an opportunity to select their courses for the high school. And that should be completed by the end of this week. And we're hoping to have, for the counselor to have the rising 9th graders and also the rising 10th graders schedules in the system by the end of this month, because we're looking, we partner with software Cardonex, and we have to sort of get ready to start entering in our courses and our schedules. So we're looking to try to have that wrapped up by the end of this month. Also, we're having a curriculum night on May 2nd for all 8th grade students, rising 9th grade students, for students and their parents. This opportunity for you to meet with our department heads to check out our courses and also to hear about all of our electives that we have to offer. Also, I want to mention, someone mentioned that the trip that we have for the 8th grade students coming up to the 9th grade. It was a huge, we did it last year and it was a huge success. We had an opportunity for the students to come up and take a tour of the building. They had a chance to meet department heads and some of the staff. They had a chance to meet our SSOs. And we also, you know, just told them a little bit about what to expect at the 9th grade. It was a great opportunity to sort of meet all the students because they will be coming to be in our building next year. And at the end of it, we provided like water, ice, and pretzels and had an opportunity to sort of talk to the students and get to know them a little bit better during that time as well. So it was a great event last year. That's why we're continuing it this year. And I look forward to meeting those rising 9th graders at the end of May. The next slide, please. And as I mentioned, we're having a curriculum night on May 2nd at 6 p.m. at Penwood 9th Grade Academy in the auditorium. So please come, all rising 9th grade families, please come out. It's an opportunity to meet our department heads, opportunity to meet me, and also the opportunity to meet my new assistant principal, Mr. Carpenter, and have an opportunity to see what our vision is, what our curriculum is like, what our approaches to teaching and learning is. And so it's a great opportunity just to meet us and get to know us before your student arrives in our building in 9th grade. Next slide, please. And this is our bell schedule. This is our current bell schedule that we have this year. Students are operating on an A and B day schedule. Each day, on A day, students have 4 classes. On B day, students have 4 classes. And we've seen this year that has really been a great benefit for our building in terms of transitions and students not being in the hallway and students being more engaged in the classroom, and also giving extra time for students to have practice in terms of small group instruction, and also getting additional support from teachers. We really found it to be really beneficial. And in terms of our state requirements, the requirement is 990 hours. With this current schedule, students will be receiving 1,030 hours of instruction, which I'm really happy about. And then, like, just one of the, the benefits, as it's written here, is that it's increased direct instruction, guided discourse, interventions, and support for students. And as I mentioned, reduce classroom transitions, and increase student collaboration. And we also have 3 lunches, which is our third period. And as you can see, a student may have a 3A lunch, and they'll have a 3B, 3C class. And each classes are about 87 minutes. And the last class is a little bit extra because we have we typically do our afternoon announcements, and we wanted to provide a little additional cushion to make sure students receive their full instructional time. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
There are 2 questions in the chat. And the
Okay.
first is from Miss Marie Louise Faber, and she's asking for copies of all of the curriculum flyers from the middle and 9th grade to share out. And then the other question is, Miss Mashinda, what are the classroom sizes and who are the students' classes divided? Not sure. Ms. Mashinda
Yeah.
may have to speak to that.
So the first question, can I get a copy of the curriculum flyer from the middle and 9th grade to share out? So are you asking for the flyer for the rising 9th graders? Or are you looking for the flyer for the 10th grade the high school curriculum night? I guess I'm not clear on that question.
She's looking for all of them.
Okay, so Ms. Faber, I can send you the one for the rising 9th graders and also the one for the high school as well. I can email that to you. And
Yeah, Ms. Faber put her email in the chat, and I can email her the middle school's flyer as well.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And she can also find it visually on the square, but I'll email it. It may be easier to assess it.
yeah, and the flyer for the rising 9th graders was given to Miss Cox for her to post on her Parent Square. I don't have access to her Parent Square, so she posted it for her 8th grade students. And then I posted the flyer for the high school one on my Parent Square because I have the current 9th grade students. What are the classroom sizes? So our classroom sizes are typically around like 20 to 30. Most of the classes are about 25. And who are the students' classes divided? I'm not sure with that question. Can you please provide some clarification?
And that's for Ms. Mashinda. If we could allow her to clarify her question, please. And while we're waiting for her to speak, Ms. Faber's email address has been added.
Yeah, I have Ms. Faber's email. I'll definitely send her the flyers. Ms. Hoff, you have a question as well?
Can you guys hear me this time?
Yep, I hear you.
Oh, thanks. That's much better. Thanks, Mr. Hurry. How many electives can a student get in their schedule?
So students have 8 classes. throughout the year. And that's one of the changes to the going to the block schedule. Previously, students had 6 credits. Now they have 8. And so they will have, so they have, I believe it's 3. So they'll have the 4 classes, and then they'll have the 4 electives to go with that as well.
Great.
To make up because each elective is a half a credit. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. So they'll have 4. They'll have 4 electives the first half of the year and 4 the second half of the year.
And are they 87 or 82 minutes long, or are they half of that?
They're 87 minutes. All the
Great.
classes are 87 minutes.
You left off band and choir for electives.
Oh, I'm sorry. We definitely have band and choir.
Thank you. Love it.
No problem.
Ms. Mashinda, do you still have your hand raised to speak? I see Ms. Mashinda's hand, and I also see Ms. Faber. Are you still requesting to speak or ask a question?
Miss Cook Henry, that's Miss Commodore who has her hand raised. It says Foxy Furio guest.
Okay,
We could-
and Ms. Faber? Okay, thank you.
Miss Commodore, you should be able to speak now. WPS Zoom 2, can you allow Miss Commodore to speak?
She just dropped Dr. B. Coates. Ms. Faber's hand is.
Hello?
Okay.
There she is.
Yep, we hear you, Miss Faber.
It's Miss Commodore.
Oh, it is Miss Commodore. Okay, all right. Now we hear you. Thank you.
So obviously there are some technical difficulties because my other questions you kept asking Miss Mashinda. But my question to Mr. Curry is currently you have 2 social justice classrooms. In one classroom, you have approximately 30 students, and in another classroom, there's approximately 9. So that's why I'm asking, how are the students divided? Because in the beginning of the year, my child was having issues because of the way the classes were put and set. She was put in a behavioral classroom, which preset a lot of issues of bullying. So that's why I'm asking, how are the classes divided? And how were the kids like set in their classrooms?
So I understand your question. And it's kind of hard for me to provide specifics because I would have to sort of look at that and see. But ultimately, we have a new guidance counselor. We try to evenly distribute the classes that we have. I would have to look at the social justice classes, but we also have other classes as well. And I know that they are typically evenly distributed. I don't know if maybe the schedule couldn't work that way. Because like I said, with the A and B schedule, certain classes can't fit in the student schedules at a certain time. And those are some of the sort of the things that we're working on this year with the scheduling to make sure I'm working with my staff to make sure that we are creating we're just improving and creating a better schedule each year. And I'm getting their feedback in terms of what worked, what didn't work, so we can make better choices moving next year. So to answer your question, I would have to really look at it to see specifically the classes that you're talking about. But I know that we're going to be working diligently to make sure that we are supporting having classes evenly distributed along our A and B schedule in our 4 classes a day.
Okay. Also, how do you address and handle bullying in your building? Because that coincides with education with students and it does affect their grades. So how is that, like, how are you guys handling those type of situations as far as the discipline wise?
Well, I mean, I think, we're talking about bullying and the saying hurt people hurt people. I think that a big part of it is really understanding the root cause, and having conversations with students and laying out expectations. We have high expectations at the Ninth Grade Academy about how you treat yourself and how you treat others. And me and Mr. Carpenter make sure that we are visible. Um, our voices are heard, and the expectations are heard loudly as well. And when students come to us with any concerns about bullying, we handle it fast and swiftly, and we make sure that we provide resources, whether it's a counselor, whether we need to reach out to the student assistance program. We just make sure that we're offering support to both students, because as I mentioned, hurt people, and we need to make sure that we're supporting not only the student that's being bullied, because that's important. And I don't want any student to feel that way when they enter that's in my building. And so we work with that student. We offer the support that the student that's being bullied, to make sure they feel comfortable in the building and make sure they're a part of our school community. But we also want to make sure that we are speaking life, and we're supporting the student that's bullying as well, because that's important too. And I think we need to sort of look at what's going on with that student too, to make sure that we're reaching out to the parents, and we are supporting the parent, supporting the student, and trying to change a learned behavior, because bullying is a learned behavior, and it's our job as educators and students in our building to make sure that we're supporting those young people to make better decisions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Ms. Faber, hand is still raised.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to bring up one more thing with the transitioning. And I don't know if there is something that's in place, or, if I just wasn't aware of it when my first sixth grader moved into the middle school. Granted, that was like right out of the pandemic, the first year we were back in the building, and she's struggling with anxiety. And so I reached out and requested that we talk to teachers, we see the building ahead of time. And then again, when we moved into the ninth grade, that we had conversations. She knew there was a plan she felt comfortable with. She could ask questions. That's really important for these students that are dealing with anxiety, any sort of mental health issues. I don't know how much of that gets addressed. We have a lot of students, I know that, with a lot of different things coming at all of you, but just that the counselors are hopefully aware of what students need, that extra support, and that parents also know, because again, that I'm sort of active, I reached out, but I don't know if other parents know what resources are available.
Yes, yeah, thank you. And we definitely make sure that if we have a student that has that experiencing some difficulties, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to the parents and notifying the parents and let them know when they're in the building. That's important to us, because ultimately the parent is a partner in making sure that we support the student, social and emotional.
Great, thanks.
Think we have any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chicano, you're up next.
Hi again, everybody. I'm sure you're all excited to hear me again. So first, we're going to go through our course selection process here at Green Avenue campus. So we started this process in really, it's been starting all year, but in late February, our department heads met to discuss our process, had a conversation with our teachers to talk to the students and make their course recommendations that last week of February and the first day of March. Our counselors have visited the classrooms to speak with students about what they should be selecting in their electives and their options. This week, counselors will finish the remaining requests in our eSchool student information system. We have our curriculum night for parents tomorrow night. Our department chairs will be there. They'll be showcasing all the great options that our students have here at the high school. So please join us if you are available tomorrow night. We also, to Mr. Curry's point, we have our 9th grade orientation, which is a new initiative that worked closely with Mr. Curry and his team, as well as my team, to try to get this lifted. We're going to bring the 400 students over a 2-day period next week to visit the campus. I want to talk to them, have a nice conversation, give them a tour of the campus, and then we want the students to know what their options are and why we want them to continue to be William Penn School District students. And so that's a big change for us. We're hoping to grow that and continue to do it each year. At the end of the month, the course selection sheets are going to be mailed home for review and signature. And then our counselors will get that and begin the process for finalizing. Here is the flyer for our course selection night. Like I said, we're going to have some staff members, some teachers there to have our department chairs to talk through any questions you may have. We're going to have some food. So please, if you can come, we'd really love to have everybody there. As we have shared previously, we have a few new courses for next year. We have music theory and AP music theory. We have music technology course. We have sports marketing. And then we have been blessed to recently hire a new STEM teacher who also comes as a computer science certified teacher. So we are beginning the process of getting our computer science course back up and running. So we're going to begin with computer science principles next year with the hope to offer an AP computer science course the following school year. So we're really excited about that opportunity for our students. And here is that course description. So within this, it's a foundational course for our students to kind of launch them into a more rigorous course in the following year. So we're beginning to identify some students who may be interested in this currently. And our bell schedule. So we're making a little bit of a shift. We're offering an 8-period day where students get 7 classes and credits per school year. There is going to be 5 lunches next year, which we're excited about. We met with our food services crew, and they were very grateful that we had 4 this year. And so going to 5 next year with a little bit of a gap to clean up and prepare the next round, I think is a great service for our students. So it kind of allows them an opportunity to prepare more food in a wider hour range to help provide what our students deserve. Our hours reached 1,019, so we're 29 hours over the state minimum. And our transportation is something that our buses usually leave around like 2:30 now, but they're supposed to leave around like 2:35. So there's not much of an adjustment period with regards to when with regards to the transportation for kids at the end of the day. So we have the homeroom back into our schedule, which was a big push. Our students really, when I meet with my student council groups, were begging to have homeroom back. So we were able to build that in, as well as continue with our advisory, which is where students will receive information and do Zello activities, as well as Vector if they still need that for their Act 158 graduation requirements, PBIS, SEL opportunities for our students during that time. And that, I believe, is it. Are there any questions?
I don't see any with the attendees, and I don't see any on the I see Jennifer. Thank you. Ms.
Thank
Hoff?
you. Thank you, Mr. Chicano. Great stuff. I love the new classes. Fantastic. I do have unfortunately some questions about dual enrollment because my sound wasn't working, if that's okay.
Should we
Thank
let her
you.
go back?
Yeah. Sorry, page 7. I'll be quick. I'm prepared.
Go ahead.
Okay. I said I'm prepared and then I touched the wrong thing. Dual enrollment on page 7. That's not just a gifted program. Like you
Correct.
don't have to have a GIEP for that, correct?
So yeah, there's two. There's the teacher ed and nursing program, and then there is the dual enrollment gifted one. So if you're not in that gifted program, you could still participate in the teacher ed or nursing program option.
No, but I mean, dual enrollment at night, extra classes has never been just a gifted program. It was for any student that met the GPA requirement.
Correct. If that's the way it was understood, that's my fault. No, you don't have to just be gifted to do the dual enrollment program.
Okay. I just didn't want anyone to leave the room and think they had to have a GIP to do dual enrollment.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
And so for evening dual enrollment, do they have to have a 3.5 or a 3.0? Because it says 3.5 on page 9, but on I saw a 3.0 somewhere else. On the 8.
You're right. Let me clarify that, Ms. Hoff. I thought it was a 3. There may be a confusion on that one. I think that 3.0 is the baseline where we begin to target kids. Ms. O'Connor, was that what was said in our meeting? Yes. 3.0. Okay.
3.0.
Great. So again, I just don't want anyone to see 3.5 and go, oh, that's not for me. They're also, and just historically speaking, and probably, I don't know pre-COVID or post-COVID, we used to give the DCCC test to as many students as possible, just to see, like in case there was a reason that someone had a 2.7, but passed the DCCC test, maybe they moved around a lot or they're new to us and some of their records were messed up. I wondered if we would consider giving that DCC English and math test to a few more students just to see if, maybe their GPA wasn't really telling the story that most benefited them. Just a thought.
Yeah, and we'll take that into account. I think the reason actually why there was a 3.5 and a 3.0 is it was 3.5 and we made it 3.0 to give access to more students. And I think the data is showing that kids typically that fall within that GPA range, they're the ones that are more likely to pass the AccuPlacer. It's my understanding there's only a certain number of times you can take that AccuPlacer, so you have to be very careful about how many times you do take it. But I'll bring that back to the team to see if, because I'm with you. Not every time, we don't want to look at a singular piece of data to make a decision on kids.
Right.
So we can have that conversation.
There's a question. Jennifer, you still have?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much. I apologize for having.
No worries. No worries. Karima Silva has her hand raised.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to know, was there going to be any conversation about the elementary schools?
Good evening. Thank you for your question. I did answer that in the chat. That will come up at a later education committee meeting. We wanted to highlight the secondary course selection. I'm getting ready to say course pathway project because that was all last year. However, this is the continuation of that. So I wanted to make sure, we wanted to make sure that our audience and our board of directors knew the schedule as we're going through the budget process now with principals and schools. And that process more or less affects the scheduling of the secondary schools, and it doesn't necessarily impact the elementary schools, but we will highlight elementary schools in a later education committee meeting.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Silva. At this time, I don't
So
see.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dunn has his hand up. I'm not sure if Mr. Dunn, you want to speak?
I just wanted to add something thank you to what Mr. Chicano spoke about in regards to Ms. Hall's question. So we have explored the possibility of using the AccuPlacer as a universal screener at the end of the 11th grade year to increase, access to students. So that is one of the things that we're considering, and I just wanted to add that on to what Mr. Chicano provided.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dunn.
Seeing no additional hands and questions or concerns, thank you for your participation this evening. It's been a lot of information shared, and I'm looking forward to our scholars having the experience of going through the transition period. Thank you for the preparation and the work that has been put in place to make that happen. And thank you, parents, for your participation in this meeting. I hope that everyone has a great evening, and so long.